Oh, he threw an interception?
Yeah.
Oh, that happened.
In the fourth quarter. I'm like, whatever. It happened.
It's garbage.
Yeah. I think it's going to happen again, too.
Does it bother him? It doesn't bother him.
Oh,
does it?
yeah.
Oh, it does?
Oh, yeah. These are the player sweatshirts, but he had like 5 of them, so I was like, I'm taking one, stealing one. I liked it.
Luke was happy because Notre Dame moved up like 5 spots because of all the upset.
Yes, they're not upset.
Thank you.
So they're up to 16 now.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Charter Review Committee meeting. We're back on our schedule at this point. This is a regularly scheduled meeting. And it's going to be the first meeting we're going to actually discuss some specific proposed charter articles or sections. And that should be interesting because it's going to set the pace and whatever for what we're going to be doing all the way through as many as 10 or 11 articles as we proceed through all of the information that we've gathered. But before that, I'll announce that we are having an open meeting. We have everyone present. The time on that clock, which is apparently a couple of minutes fast, is 17:50. So we're around about the time to start. The first item on our agenda will be to introduce, once again, for the second straight consecutive meeting, our town administrator, or, you know, for all intents, I don't know, I don't want to rest on formalities, but that you're acting or
Yes.
temporary or
Interim town
interim?
administrator.
Okay, thank you. Who, and I also want to take the opportunity to thank him for taking the lead on getting the suggestion box over to the library and along with printing out some of the announcements that would be distributed on the special civic event that we're having with other members of other committees. It's a social event, but given an opportunity for people to meet, and I think it's something that we'd be well done if we had these things happening at least on a regular basis, maybe every quarter, where we're getting as many townspeople and as many as towns managers and operators and department heads and whatever, just so that everybody can really put a face to the topic and also have a chance to vent without having to worry about open meeting law or how much agenda time there is. So without further ado, I'll move into the first item. The meeting is opened. I declare so. Everybody's present, quorum. First matter of agenda is listed on the notice and agenda as the second. Reviewing, adopting, and accepting the meeting minutes from our last meeting of 28 December 2025. Is there anybody who has anything to say other than, accepting it? Any modifications, any changes, anything, comments, suggestions, whatever? Gary?
No changes.
No changes? Anybody? Okay, I have no changes. That being said, I motion that we accept the meeting minutes from December 28th of 2025.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And there's nobody in opposed, so therefore the minutes are accepted. While we are talking about, I'll slightly go into item 3, but I did want to say that we're going to be doing, excuse me, what's that? The thing that we're going to wonder about is how exactly we're going to proceed once we start talking about today, the introduction, preamble, contents, and whatever, is how do we want to memorialize for purposes of getting it all put together whatever discussions we have and change? Because I think it's going to be important that our minutes accurately reflect what we decide. There's going to be debate, not necessarily today, but some debates and some questions. There's going to be some topics because there's 2 versions of some articles depending upon which way you want to go. If you want something to be in the bylaws that we can forward on to the bylaw committee, which will someday exist, I hope, and or if it's going to be something we put here. And to do that, I'll make a little bit of a comment about the fact that a charter is the high-end document. It sets the structure. We all know that, and we've all read all kinds of things and and all that. But the bottom line is the bylaws is where the meat and potatoes go. So we're not necessarily wanting to put a lot of detail except where there isn't any detail. As you have heard, one of the side things I did during the period of time starting in January going forth was try to find how many bylaws would apply to things that are charter issues. And unfortunately, I found a number of things, and that's why I was so excited when I found one with Laurie Becker's help at the town clerk's office, that there was actually something that was legal, actually had been passed and appropriately notified. Unfortunately, there are some things that are there that have either aged out, or there are some things that have never gotten any farther than the town meeting saying okay, which is not the final step. There are some things that allegedly are special laws, but I can't find them. And of course, some of the delay in that, or the problem with that is, it wasn't until like 1972 that all of these things got put in a relatively accessible place, because prior to that they were, all over the place in the state. And the state may have lost some or misplaced some, or they're not there. But we don't have the benefit of the computer systems that we have today. So with all that being said, when we get into some of the more deeper sections of the charter, which won't be tonight, I don't think, but what we need to do is say, okay, we aren't going to decide. We have not been given a mandate, nor is it anything that we want to touch at this point in time. But we do want to recommend that there be a bylaw committee formed. And I talked to some of our colleagues in other places, and they suggest that it is not a select board appointment. It should be a town manager appointment, because bylaws are, in fact, a legislative act. They are making law. And the select board does not make law. It interprets and manages and things like that. So with that being said, we also have to factor in the fact that we have a town moderator who unfortunately is leaving, and not for any bad purposes, but and he is a very important person to the town, and we are all going to miss him. And it is kind of sad to think that we're just about to make a suggestion to the town moderator, and he won't be here probably to implement it. But that being said, that's assumption. We need to pause for a moment at some point and talk about, do we want to go to the select board and ask them to create this, or do we want to go to the moderator, noting that whatever happens, it's going to have to go to town meeting anyway, and the moderator is the official in charge of the town meeting. So that's why I say there are some things we're going to have to discuss before we actually get into the meat of the article, because there are things that we have to decide which way we want to go. And I do have one thing that I hopefully maybe get to tonight, but I want to make sure that you have it, and it's what I called an off-post article. It has to do with something that is in the document that was prepared by Gary and Steve, and it was something that I know was rather close to everybody's heart about the idea, how do we enforce the charter? And if you recall the section, it talks about, number one, obviously it's enforced by the select board, but then there's the question of what if there's a citizen complaint about a town official or whatever. And I did send that out at some time in the past. I didn't put it on the agenda today, but it's just something I want to bring to your attention so we can maybe address that at a future meeting, or even today if you feel comfortable doing so. Okay, so the bottom line is, just keep in mind that proposal has got to do with a situation where, if a citizen is concerned because they feel they haven't been treated appropriately, or that their question or their comment or their issue has not been addressed, how does it particularly get to some sort of a reconciliation? And it's a little bit of not a punitive process, but it does have a situation where you bring it to the attention of the official. The official either does whatever it is that it takes to get this situation resolved, but moreover, what happens if it doesn't get resolved? Where do they go? So that's something that we'll have to think about before we can figure out where do we put that in an article, if at all. or is it more likely that something in a bylaw? I bring all this point together because we do have to decide what we're putting into the charter. We can make a very short charter, 20 to 25 pages, if we just put in doing this according to the bylaw. What if there isn't a bylaw, if the bylaw doesn't mean anything? And frankly put, it's ever since Laurie Becker has become the town clerk, she has made an honest and a very fruitful effort to get things published the way they are. And we're getting notices, and they're getting, put out and sent out, and they're on the town website and everything like that. But if you go back, you can find out that you can rent the upstairs at the town hall for $15 if you want. I mean, that's something that we probably aren't going to be using. So with all due respect to everybody in the past, but we love you and everything that you have there, but some of you, what they say in the bylaws doesn't do anything for us. Some of the things that we should have in the bylaws aren't there. Before they get there, we'll have a charter item. So we're going to tread lightly, but how much we put into the charter and what is important. We don't have to worry about when the first annual spring annual town meeting occurs, because there is a bylaw that says that. It talks about the quorum, how much of a quorum. The bylaw, which is active, does say 50 voters. I point out that 50 voters is 0.2% of the number of registered voters in the town of Paxton. That is a point that was raised to me by someone I spoke to recently, saying that, yeah, well, it's a cabal. I use that famous word, cabal, of running the town. And here's an example. All you need is, 50 of members of the cabal to show up, and they run the meeting, and that's all it is. Well, it begs the question, well, why the heck aren't you there, and why aren't your buddies there? But the bottom line is, do we want to leave that at that number? Or do we want to suggest to the selectmen that they change that number in some way, shape, or form? The other thing is that I noticed that there was a question raised at one of the recent town meetings in Paxton. Well, what happens if we lose the quorum? We have 50 people, the quorum is there, we start voting on things, and then as happened at that November meeting, I think it was November, where everybody couldn't find a parking space and people started, leaving, so we had a lot less people. Well, the fact of the matter is, you need to have a quorum, all right, and if you go down to 49 people, you don't have a quorum anymore, and under the state law, all you can do in that case is you can sit there and wait till get somebody back in there that is a registered voter, so you restore the quorum, or you can adjourn.
Does somebody track people leaving?
No, and that's the whole point. Nobody tracked people, so we didn't really know if there were 50 people. We might not really know if there were 50 people. It was pretty clearly that one, there was 50 people.
I think that we can really get into that stuff when we get into the context of whether it's going to be in the charter or not.
Right.
I think we're ready to talk about some of the things that you've shared with us. I think we want to move forward with that.
Exactly. That's the whole point. So I just wanted to keep, and the reason I push it, and I know I had a short second to look at it, to be honest with you, but I believe that you have a great structure. I'm not sure we'll be able to keep to the dates, but.
That's fine. I just wanted to put something together. We could say, hey, let's agree to this.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for doing it, because
Sure.
damn it, I love it when people
That's
take
how my
you-
brain works. I had to get it out of my head and put it onto a piece of paper.
All right, so I just solicited my own comments, I just said, and now it's your turn. Does anybody have anything they want to say, any updates? We'll ask you for an update in a moment, but let's hear what the group has to say, if anything. Mr. Paul Bertler, would you have anything to say about anything? Comments, suggestions, remarks, thoughts?
As soon as we're ready to get into the articles that you sent out and we're on the agenda to discuss, I'm happy to get into the details. My first impression of, the individual articles that you emailed us versus the entire charter that you had emailed us prior for us as a small group to work on, I thought it was much better. I was happy to see the new version of the first, of the work that we've looked at for tonight.
What you're seeing in my first version, you saw our first version, you saw my first, my second, and the third one is the one that we're going to be working on.
Sure.
That's the one that Gary and I really didn't get a chance to discuss and try to put the two of them together. So we're doing it this way because, frankly, I think this is the best way to do it. We have people watching that are going to be interested. One technical point, anything that we say here, okay, I think it's a good idea. It's in some cases required and in other cases encouraged. And I see no reason why we can't just treat it as if it's required. when I sent you out something, like, for instance, the introduction, we'll talk about that, and hopefully that doesn't take a heck of a long time, but on the other hand, it might. But once we finish with that, when we finish the minutes, this should be an attachment to the minutes. Now, I don't know if you're prepared to do that as secretary, or if you want to, punt it for today, and I'll do it for this set of meetings. But anytime we talk about an article or whatever, the question becomes, should it have been there for somebody to see what we were talking about? And the answer to that is probably. That's we're kind of a wishy-washy way, but rather get into the weeds of me saying when it's required and whatever, let's just do it. That's my suggestion. Anybody have a comment on that?
Could we link to the recording of the meeting itself?
Problem is that we could, obviously, and technically, but the minutes are an official public document saving for posterity, and I think it's at least 10 years minimum that they have to be kept. The audio and video of the meeting is not an official document. It's not something that has any authority. So the reality is that if we're doing it relying on like if you rely totally on the minutes of what's on the tape, so to speak, then what you're really doing is something that's, you're trying to make something public record that isn't public record.
Okay.
Which is kind of one of the things you'll see when we talk about definitions. I included a word in the definitions that's brand new, but it talks about the fact that not only are public documents and verbal statements and whatever, things like that, they're kind of in a gray area. Are they public documents or not, or can they be referenced as such? But as it stands, the answer.
Process-wise, then it would be challenging. You can't really attach an email to the minute, so should we?
No, what happens is when we send something to them, we can have it as an attachment, or we can cut it and then send it to Laurie, and she makes it an official document, which gets posted on the town bulletin board and on the town website, which are official. That's the difference between Facebook documents and,
Well, I propose then if we're submitting material to be discussed, that we do it as like a PDF attachment, so that way you can just save it and then attach it when we send it to Lori. So we streamline it a little bit rather than having Lori have to create.
No, Laurie wouldn't create anything. Laurie takes what we give her and what we've voted on, and what I've said is this is what so Laurie isn't writing or doing anything like that.
Well, she would have to process it in some way, is what I mean, right? Like,
Oh,
when she creates a file,
yeah,
are you saying she just print out the email, or is it like?
she makes an electronic document and it gets a document number, section.
So we have a document that we're reviewing tonight,
Yes.
and there may or may not be changes to that document. So let's assume that there are changes, and that we, as a committee, decide that we are adopting those changes.
Right.
So what gets attached to the minutes? Is it the initial version that we're making changes to, or is it the corrected version that we are all in agreement on?
I would say that since we're not going to have, minutes are not meant to be a actual quotation thing.
Correct.
My research suggests that it is the resolved document.
So that way he can't really attach it then to the minutes until the
Minutes
author,
are,
the author then changes it, and in reality, we just confirm then the following meeting that these are the ones that we have agreed to, and then we attach it at that point.
exactly.
That
Basically,
makes sense to me.
Yeah, your notes that are capturing our edits.
So in other words, if you have a copy of the document and ultimately we say we're going to say, Paul says that we should change this, and we change it, and then we have it, anybody, it'll go into the next minutes, you'll put that in the minutes, and then because I don't do anything to your minutes, all right? Your minutes just get said, here they are, they've been approved. So we'll next week or next meeting have to put them in the minutes, but they need to be the document itself, okay? When you talk about like paragraph 1, we change the word from the all to none or something like that. Stupid examples, but did I get my point across, or do we have that?
Can you use track changes when you do the edits? Would that be okay? And then that would have
We could,
everything in there.
at least in my experience, that we have only one person, Chuck, who's, I give him the title of technology guru, and I would ask him, but, unless anybody feels comfortable, I mean, we could get Otter but then we run into the same problem that we have with the WPAX transmission. Those are not sanctioned, recorded. We don't have a certified court reporter here who's taking the minutes.
Oh, the track changes is just an option in Word. So you turn that on, it will show everything in red that's changed.
Okay.
So then you can just accept all changes afterwards, but then it would just give people an easy way to identify anything that's been revised from the proposed version to the revised version.
So how do we get that so that somebody can do that here? I mean, everybody has an email that I sent out with a copy of,
Use-
Article 1.
Put it in Word.
We didn't-
Copy and paste
I think
it
the
into
issue is
Word.
we didn't get it in a document.
Do you want
Got
it in?
In the email.
You just have an Outlook, right? So if
Yeah.
you just copy and paste that into a Word doc. I'm just trying to think what
No,
is easiest. And then I didn't know about your previous discussion, if you could attach the proposed documents to your agenda so that then people have it prior to the meeting, and then you have the revised version with your minutes so that then they can see the evolution of the document.
Okay. So if I'm lucky I can push send. No pun intended. Which is pretty scary, but in this day and age. So if we do that, would that work, Paul, for you?
Yes, I believe it would. I'm also, just from a technical, I guess I could do this offline, but if if we have access to the wireless here, does anyone know if
I
we do?
never had any luck getting it. I
Okay.
tried to get the password. The password didn't work for me.
Okay.
With my
It
laptop.
does make it a little harder to,
Yeah.
to work without.
Let me ask Scott,
It's a side issue.
who's kind of shy in there. I asked him to come out earlier and show his face, but he's not going to do it. But after the meeting closes, I'll ask him if there's some way we can get this passed, because I know there was. And the other thing I was wondering is how we could get
We don't
things up
have
on
that document tonight.
Here he is now.
Thank you.
So,
Thank you.
so we're also saying, though, for future meetings, that when you do the agenda, you go into attach then suggested drafts that we're going to review will be made a part of those agendas.
And that makes it easier, so we're not combing through our inbox looking
Yes.
for what
What we
XYZ
missed.
version of whatever's been
Okay.
sent. So I think that's a great idea.
Okay, and we do it. Which leads us to one other question. Maybe we can also put it up on the
Yes.
screen, because that way, I know that Steve was able to get them up there, and that was a secret that unfortunately I never asked about, because I
We
would
can
probably not
figure that
understand what he
out.
says, but we'll figure that one out.
Sure.
I'm happy to help with that, too.
Any other comments, Megan,
In general,
in general?
the event is coming together, so Donna did a ton of lift for us last week by pushing it out to all the committees, which was great, and she got it on the town website and a few other places too. So the word is starting to
Anyone has an
circulate.
email out today.
Yeah,
Did you see Laurie sent something? Laurie was on
Yeah.
vacation, but she sent something.
yeah, so it's great. Both Lori and Donna have been extraordinarily helpful in helping us push this forward.
It's getting traction. It's getting.
And I know that Pam at the library, I asked her, she's going to do some shenanigans to make it look nice over there, but it is in a prominent position at the window, if you have seen.
And then we'll get the agenda framed out so we know what our talking points want to be. I don't have that yet.
Chuck?
No, I think we're good.
Okay.
Ready to die.
Gary?
No, just ready to have a conversation.
I love it. Sir?
I'm all good too. I'm looking forward to hearing all about the articles.
No pressure, guys. He's on our side.
Can we just confirm one thing, the meeting schedule? So are we 2 weeks from today now, or are we shifting that to match the?
So that's what we'll try. That is the agenda item next to the adjournment.
Oh,
But, yeah, I was just talking before the meeting opened, just to see who was available. That's why I asked you that. And it appears that we have 1, 2, 3 that may be available, but there's 2 of you may not be available, so we have to kind of work on that.
yeah.
All right, that being said, I have nothing more to say. Hard to believe, but anybody else have anything they want to think,
Nope.
all right. And Robert, you have anything that I think, okay. That being said, the first item then that we'll look at is what I call an introduction. It is an introduction. It is not something that will be going actually in the document that would be enacted, but what it is something that we would be sending with our completed draft to the select board and to anybody in the public that we send it to, and ultimately will be something that will be in some form going to the legislative personnel that we want to introduce ourselves to. And so we don't have this up on a board, so the bottom line is it is an introduction, and it's like a cover page, if you will. Has everybody have a copy and everybody had a chance to read it?
So it's not part of the charter, so it's just a cover letter essentially?
Essentially. But it is the first thing that they will get or see, which includes the public. Okay?
I haven't seen other charters with this.
It does, no, but the other charter you see are either the enacted versions, the legislative, the law. This isn't the law, this is like an annotation. Like if you look at Massachusetts law, there's two versions. There's Massachusetts general law and there's Massachusetts general law as annotated. The annotations are not anything other than to guide people what was going on or, give us reference or whatever, but they're not official citations. This is not an official thing. It's an introduction. Hey, guys, this is what we are. This is what we're trying to do. You'll see it followed through. And I think you can get that sense. But it is not part of the law.
So then I think it needs to be reworded.
Okay, then let's talk about it.
Yeah, I think it's now that we know that, I think if this is just the email, then I would explain that, that this is not part of the charter, that this is just addressing people of the task at hand, and the following pages are what we have decided are the final versions of what should be voted by the town.
Okay.
I
But this
don't
is
know, I
the-
don't think we need all the legal stuff, because
There's
they
no legal,
they already know what we were tasked with, so it's just an email. I thought it was part of the charter.
This is not for us. This is for the
Yeah.
people that would be getting the charter. We want them to understand what a charter is and what our mindset is, what we're doing. That's what the preamble and the introduction do. Every charter that I have looked at has a introduction. Okay, so
So where are you looking at these charters then? Because the ones I have looked at don't have introduction.
I'm looking at them at the law library, looking at the initial document that was done by the Charter Review Committee. All right. They're public records. But everybody that submits these charters, all right, they go through a process. Like, for instance, Sandusfield. Sandusfield in November will be presenting theirs to the town meeting. Sandusfield has, this is what the sponsor at the town meeting will be saying. Dear town meeting members, and they'll be reading from their introduction. And they'll read from the preamble. Neither one of those are the charter. They are an introduction to explain, because the first thing you don't want to be telling somebody, ladies and gentlemen, under our charter, the inhabitants of the town of Paxton within the corporate limits, that's not going to help. They don't want to get into the nitty-gritty until they have some sense as to what we're doing. And keep in mind that our charter will be available at least 14 days before the town meeting, all right, hopefully more, to give them time to read it. And we, it's not something that they're going to be going right into the law. When you go looking for a law to find out what it reads, immediately go to the chapter and section.
But I'm with Megan. I think we need to make it more readable, maybe shorten
that's-
it up.
that's what
Because
we-
we're going to lose them right away, right? I think it's tough enough to get people to read a charter.
That's what we're here for. Well, it's easier to get them to read this than it'll get them to read a charter. So let's look at this. Chuck and Megan, will go in your order. What do you think needs to be changed?
The whole thing. I think, because the introduction is not part of the charter review, I know it is because it's the opening, could we take a stab at just do a quick redraft, but not necessarily go through it tonight because it's not essential to the charter?
Well, it is essential to the charter. This is the way you get on the field. If we send this to the select board and say, here you go, where are you coming from? This is where we're coming from,
Yeah.
all right? This tells you what a charter is. The first sentence, and again, I'm just trying to make sure we get the explanation.
Yeah.
If you want to take a rewrite, well, we're not rewriting, you're writing something from the beginning, all right? Charters are municipal constitutions. Well, there's a new concept, all right? It doesn't say in here that a charter is a municipal constitution. It will not say in the charter, all right?
But that line's helpful, but then I feel like the next 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 expound on that.
That's
I'm wondering
right.
if we
I don't
can
need it.
summarize it. Hey, the
Yeah.
municipal constitution, they determine how our town is run. Boom.
I actually wrote down, you could probably just pull from the newsletter some of the, it was a little bit more people-friendly than it was, it kind of set the tone for what we were doing.
Okay, with that being said, anybody
Now
have
that I
any,
know what it-
anybody have any objection if we take this and ask Chuck, and again, or both, and come to write another one, and we'll take a look at them, and then we can, or do you want to talk about this one?
So from a different perspective, I think that, I see this as like the initial slide to the presentation of the charter at a town meeting. Give that overview. I also see it as, with different wording, being a flyer you hand out at the meeting on October 25th to give a quick overview with different words as to what we're trying to accomplish and why. I see that. I just don't see it as part of the charter itself, which we may be in disagreement on.
Well, it's not part of the charter. That's, if you gather that I'm saying it's part of the charter, I'm saying it's not. It's part of the presentation of the charter.
Yeah.
Totally get what you're saying too.
Yeah.
I'd be happy to just take a quick stab at that if you want us to. We could use it in multiple ways.
Yeah.
And then get into the meat of the actual charter. Because it seems this one should be pretty easy.
Okay.
If there's anywhere if there's any room for plain language and, as, I think this would be the place to have a
Direct,
more
yeah.
accessible plain language.
Okay, well, can I
I don't
just-
mind, I like, I don't mind the content of, that, like, the first paragraph, all that is great, and,
I'm just trying to find out what you mean by legal language. What is there in there that you believe is a legal jargon or legal word?
It's
One
not,
size
maybe
fits
it's not
all?
necessarily legal jargon. It's more, it's too official versus, it didn't read to me, I read it and I went, what are we trying to, what is this about? Like, I was trying to understand how it connected to the charter. Now that makes sense. It's just sort of a cover letter that I think it needs to be a little bit more,
Accessible.
yeah. little-
Distribute and
I
allocate.
wrote
like
person-centric readability.
I'm sorry?
I wrote person-centric readability. I said it needed to be like, it just a little bit more to the average person that's going to read it. I don't know that they would totally fully get it.
Okay.
We do, because we're kind of working through it, but even I was like, oh.
well, I didn't get the 351 Massachusetts cities, that only works, however, if, that paragraph, I didn't really understand what that was
Okay.
trying to get at or what that meant.
Without a charter, the cities
Are
and
there-
towns. Without a charter, the cities and towns are subject to a myriad of confusing and sometimes conflicting laws, rules, regulations, and procedures promulgated by multiple state-level government agencies.
That part I understood.
Okay.
Next line.
So that what that's basically saying is, if
Yeah,
you don't
that
have a
part I got.
charter, then you're going to have to live by
Right, but what is the
rules
next
and
line?
regulations of a committee, of a board.
Got it.
all that.
What does the next line mean?
The next
Yeah,
line
that's-
tells you that that'll work if you think that one size fits all, because that's all they're out. You don't have in the state law a state law that tells the Paxton, this is what your charter looks like.
So if
So
we didn't
flip
have,
that.
Are we trying to say that it actually doesn't work, or?
Yeah, so maybe
yeah,
that's what we
not-
need.
Well,
We
then
know one size doesn't
ask yourself
fit.
this.
I get
If
what
it-
he's saying, is that if we didn't have a charter, if there were no charters, every one of the 351 towns would have the same
We'd be
rules.
bound by the state
Right,
law.
so then
which
let's
we
just
don't
say
wanna
that.
be. Yeah.
Or, it's,
Okay.
So I think you take the stab
Yeah.
at trying to make it
Yeah, I got
friendlier.
it. I got what
Yeah.
you need.
I got the idea.
Yeah.
I want to make sure that you don't think that we're trying to make this is not something for lawyers to read.
Correct.
This is something for.
Yes.
And it.
It felt like it was, though. I think that's what, it
Okay.
might not be legal
Yeah,
language.
correct.
But it
Yeah.
felt like, I felt like, oh, there must be a legal requirement why we have to have
That's what I was
this. Or
thinking,
why,
too.
what is the purpose for this? And then I liked how Gary put it. This is the opening slide. This is almost like, what is a charter? Charter 101.
Yep, it
This
is.
is where we're going.
Exactly.
Boom.
It is.
You had the right stuff in there, but I think it didn't translate over to the, well, I'll say common people, because we don't know the, like.
For
the-
what it is to say, this is
Okay.
not my writing. I did make some, this is something that was given
Okay.
to someone in the legislature as part of,
Okay.
and also something that they used as a slide in a town meeting, actually in a presentation. This is Marblehead,
Okay,
and that
Got
is
it.
something that you can find online.
okay.
Easily done. All right, now the preamble, we've talked about the preamble in the past, although we did it in a kind of a, not on the agenda, just let's get it into some sort of a conversation about what a preamble was and what it could be and what it should be and what it would nice to have if we could write a historical tome on it. But the reality is the preamble also is not. The preamble is what you're sending now to people that are lawyers and where you're coming from. Do you want a strong charter? Do you want a weak charter? Do you want to have a charter that deals with, what are the things you're looking for your charter to say? If we want to say that we want the people of Paxton, Massachusetts, when we send this to the town meeting, and we want to say, why are we doing this and how are we doing this? We want to affirm that we want our town government to use its delegated powers and town resources wisely. And why do we say that? Well, because the essence of a lot of conversations that we had in one way, shape, or form was essentially saying, we don't think they're using the town resources properly. Without getting into details, that's not, we want to make sure that if the select board says to us, hey, what do you mean by this? Well, I can say that on such and such a date, we talked to somebody and they said this. So that's what the preamble is. Do you want to talk about the preamble? Okay.
Let's do it.
I didn't have any edits to it, minus a grammatical one, that was it.
Which grammatical one did you?
I think on the therefore by this charter, the two needs to be removed. We require local government to provide efficient and responsive delivery.
Okay, so
Just
we
remove
gotta-
the two.
We require local government to provide efficient and responsive delivery of town services?
Yeah. I don't think you need the two again.
No, well, hey, sometimes.
My criticism, it's my feedback, it's kind of a silly, I don't like the bullet style, partly because, and this sounds silly, I want it to look like the Constitution's preamble, which is like a paragraph form.
I have a font that
It's-
we could use.
But I'm usually a fan of bullets, but I like the idea of almost making it more like poetry, right? Like we the people of the town of Paxton hereby affirm our historical and traditional liberties with respect to the conduct of local government. I say we have parallel structure. We affirm that our municipal government will use its delegated powers and town's resources wisely. We affirm. I like that we affirm that.
Okay.
And feel free to push back, because I know this is kind of silly.
No, it's-
I end up high, but I want it to look like like in terms of not bulleted paragraph form.
Okay.
Feel free to reject that. I'm fine. I throw a lot of stuff out there, so I'm very comfortable if people say, hey, that's silly.
Chuck, you remember when we first talked about preambles and stuff like that? And I very much appreciated all of the time and effort and energy and that went into what you wrote about that. And frankly, if I had my way, we would have preambles that would go back and talk about, Paxton and with the bell and all that sort of thing. I thought those are things, to try to get a sense of what we want to affirm our historical and traditional liberties to the respect of the conduct of government. In other words, we don't want the guy who's going to give us a bell to want the place to be named after him, and then he's also the guy that caused the colonists to throw the tea into the harbor. That was Paxton. That's Charlie Paxton. So, that would be nice, but we want to affirm respect to the government, and we want to tell them, not that we're going to throw them we're not going to take the Board of Selectmen, well, maybe the town administrator. We're not going to throw them into, Moore State Park over the waterfall. We're just trying to say we want to take and go with this flow that we've been in. So that's what it is. And if it sounds better to you without 1, 2, 3, 4, I put those things in there essentially just for the simple purposes of, so can anybody have anything to say about 1? But I don't care if they're out, if they're dots, if they're not bullet points. If we say we in there, that's fine. If you guys all think it's a small thing, but this is good, let's get consensus on it. Does everybody like that suggestion that Chuck has made? And Megan, are you
I'm good with it.
okay?
So what would the first sentence be? The very first sentence?
It would be the first line combined with 1. You eliminate 1. Hereby affirm our historical interest liberties, and then it would be a period. And then it would be 2 would
one
be
above
replaced
that,
by
where it
we.
said, is it we the people? Is that how it starts?
I think so, right?
All right, but you wanted to put we in every paragraph, right?
Yes. In every line. I think we make it 1 paragraph,
Okay.
and then, so local government period ends the first line.
So as of right now, there are 8 affirmations, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. And you want to have we to start off each of the sentences?
Yes.
Okay.
Do
And
you want them in one paragraph?
I think so.
Split up. Because the bigger the more, the shorter the paragraph, the more likely somebody's to read it, move on, as opposed to a big paragraph.
Yes, traditionally. Like, yes, I realize that, but I think by presenting it in a paragraph form, I think it creates a little bit of a different sense. It creates the sense of that initial preamble. It calls to mind our initial preamble more so than if we bulleted or separated out into sentences.
Okay, so you want to get rid of the numbers and put "we affirm" in every sentence, and all of these 8 sentences are going to be in 1 paragraph.
Yes.
yeah, I'm not sure I'm buying I'm not going to argue today about paragraph formats. That's not my thing from my perspective. I'm happy with the change. I have a concern regarding some of the wording first.
Okay.
But, so right now, we have the 8 affirmations, and then we have the therefore, right? And then we jump into it as to the language there. My concern is this, in paragraph 6 and 7, as it sits right now, we have affirm our support for the arts, education, and shared community services, right? That's what it reads. And 7 reads, affirm our support for seniors and persons with disabilities. So every town meeting that I've been to, especially in springtime, there's been issues involving paying for education for the town. So there is an inherent potential conflict that exists every single year between individuals who do not want to vote for the costs for the schools and those that may be putting, who are seniors or individual disabilities or others. And I don't know, does 6 and 7 then become conflict within itself? And do we care about that? Or am I just being overly cautious in that respect?
I honed in on number 6. I kind of was thinking about the same point, and not from a conflict. I see where you're saying how they could, someone might conceive those as being conflicting points, but I could certainly see people standing up and saying, why should the arts be captured in the charter?
Well, how about the cultural committee? That's an arts-centered government creation. Every one of these things relates to something that there is an appointed multi-body, okay?
Do we need 6 and 7?
That's your question for you to answer and ultimately apply it to a
Well,
vote.
and to number 7 then, what about the youth?
Yeah.
Should the youth be included? Or why did we choose
That's the recreation department.
seniors and persons with disabilities? Why are those the only 2 that are highlighted?
Well, because they're
There's-
kind of the ones that get the education.
But what about the youth?
Well, we can put in,
So again, my only problem with it is that you can say, what about mothers or working people or all these different protected classes? Why do we only single out?
well, these aren't protected classes.
Well, not, so maybe it's not.
Except
But
for
again,
education and-
why do we only include these 2, or why are they the ones that we think?
Are you
most
suggesting that there's others we should include?
I don't know. I think youth, if because of the education component, I think that is.
I am suggesting that when we identify certain groups, we will always
Yes.
leave someone out.
Exactly.
Yes.
So can we be more generic and therefore more inclusive?
Okay.
Yeah, you've got me thinking. I think we've removed 6 and 7 completely because 5 affirms our commitment to the delivery of town services, which is all encompassing for all. So I don't know that we need to call out 6 or 7 particularly.
Well, the people that we're talking about the arts will say, well, differ with you. They'll say that the town doesn't support, for instance, how many people go and how much town notice is given to the arts that are hung up at the senior center.
But that's more of a,
That's a
that doesn't
town.
belong in the charter. I don't know that.
I'm sorry, say it again?
Does that, but that doesn't belong in the charter because the
Why
charter.
not? It's a committee that is established. We're talking about, when we get
Correct.
towns.
So that would go into the charter,
No,
the
you-
committee.
Bylaws, or that's
Yeah,
more of the,
that-
that's more the
What
meat
would
and
you say in
potatoes.
there? Bylaws have got to tell you nuts and bolts. We can't say in a bylaw, we affirm that the arts are important in Paxton. That all will
That's
belong in a
That's a
bylaw.
sentiment
That's where
that
the
may not
committee
be
is.
shared by all,
So
right?
Right.
if by example, that there's a given year that there's a decrease in funding for the arts,
Yep.
does someone then come back and say, well, you're violating the charter because now we are not affirming our support for the arts?
Correct.
How do you go about and deal with that piece from a financial standpoint versus what we want from a visionary standpoint?
I agree with you. The only thing I'll tell you is, once again, this is a preamble. This is not in the charter. This is not the charter. This is, okay, we know why you're wanting a charter. We know what you think a charter should do. Let's get down to some of the nitty-gritty. There will be, assuming that you guys don't vote it out, there will be a request to honor a state law and create an ADA board.
Yeah, but is there a way to work, because I like the idea of having this in here, affirming these ideals, so to speak. And you could argue, like, we're affirming our support, we're not affirming the degree of our support, right? Like, hey, because I think that's a crux of these things is, yes, I think everybody thinks we should fund the schools.
Not
It's a
Just not
question
how
of
much, or.
How much?
True.
It's a
Not
question of how
everyone.
Not
much.
everyone.
You can't assume that.
Not at all.
Yes.
Not at all?
The
They don't think we should
library,
give
well,
any
with the
funding?
library,
No.
I think you could find people in this town
Yes.
that would say, no.
You could.
The town shouldn't be doing it, it should be someone else.
So you're
We
affirming
shouldn't
that,
fund schools? Really?
I mean, that's not my argument, but I think if you go to town meeting and propose
Sure.
that, you'd find support.
Support to what?
To cut all funding for schools?
sure, there's a
I-
movement of homeschooling which would fall under that.
Absolutely, I think.
But you
So-
know,
Wow, that's shocking.
having,
I mean too, but I think that feeling's out there, and we need to be prepared for people
People don't
to raise
Oh,
that.
because I always just assumed it was the degree of support.
And same thing
homeschooling
with the library.
is more
I think,
rigid than
Oh, the library,
school
yeah.
There's
schooling.
people that
Yeah,
say, why are we?
but we're not arguing that, we're just
that
arguing,
reason.
we're
I'm
just
saying,
wondering,
if they
does it
think
belong
that
in the
they're getting
preamble?
rid of education, they're going to have more supervision of their
Sure, that's all true.
homeschooling
But I don't
than
know
you
if it
would
belongs
have in
here.
the school, because people have to come to your house and check your curriculum, and
Yeah. But I don't think that's up for us to decide. That's why I
but
was
we're not
saying.
deciding anything.
No, but that's kind of where this conversation started.
Yeah.
And that's why I thought our commitment is to the efficient and responsive delivery of town services.
Which is the most ambiguous thing that there is.
Sure.
What is efficient about town government?
I don't
Is
think
it
we
when
have it in here.
Is it when we have pickup truck and a plow doing all of the roads, 46 miles of, is that efficient? No, we didn't put in here that we want the DPW to have sufficient vehicles to do their job. That's something that comes later, hopefully. But in terms of this, it's just a generic thing. I have no objection to doing anything here. I don't want you to think I'm arguing with you. I'm just kind of being the devil's advocate.
Yeah, no, it's good.
Okay, so please don't take offense.
Yeah.
But I think Gary's got some points. Exactly. We don't want to do anything in the preamble that makes somebody say, I don't want this charter. They want arts.
Right.
Why are we going to do it? Why should I care about it? If I wanted to look at arts, I'd go to the senior center and look at the walls. No.
So
We want to catch all of these little entities. We like you arts people. We like you education people. We like you people that, want to come see things but can't see them because...
But with that said, I would suggest that for our conversation to move forward, I would suggest we actually strike 6 and 7.
Okay.
I would actually suggest in 8 that it says affirm that all residents as opposed to everyone. And I would keep the therefore the same as you have it, because it still captures the cultural piece as opposed to affirming it. It just says, we're trying to provide efficient and effective government. I feel more comfortable with that than I do with those two still staying in there.
Okay. If, then I understand, let me summarize unless anybody wants to. If we do this, the preamble would say something like, "We, the people of the town of Paxton, Massachusetts," paragraph 1, just for reference purposes, not, we'll get rid of them, "hereby affirm our historical and traditional liberties with respect to the conduct of local government." Thank heavens, because I don't want anybody on the select board thinking that we're trying to overthrow the select board, okay, or any town. We affirm our traditional liberties and management and all that sort of thing. We affirm that our municipal government shall use its delegated powers and town resources wisely. That's not to suggest that it hasn't, okay? Affirm that our local government shall also be welcoming and transparent. That's been something that's been questioned by some of the people. I find it to be welcoming and transparent whenever I have something, but I know there are people out there that have told me it's not transparent. And those are the people that talk about cabals and that sort of thing. Affirm that our officials, offices, boards, committees, and commissions shall be ethical. There's some questions that have been raised about some of that. Affirm our commitment to the efficient and responsive delivery of town services. Yes, everybody would like to see the fire department come in a hurry when your house is on fire, or the police, when that sort of thing. Affirm our support for arts education and shared community services. That will be stricken.
Yes.
Stricken. Affirm our support for seniors and persons with disabilities. We'll stricken that because, but we're not giving up on people with disabilities, and I can assure you that will be something that I will present and defend. Affirm that all residents shall be given the opportunity to fully participate in the cultural, economic, and political life of the town. The only question I have about all residents as opposed to everyone is because then it suggests that we only want people from Paxton to participate in cultural, economic, and political life. True for political life, but we also want them to come here to, participate in cultural events, which is what the
But we don't want everyone to participate in the political life.
Well, we certainly want our
Necessarily,
state
a town
senator
meeting.
and our state
We don't want-
representative and everybody else in the House and Senate too, but yes.
But we don't want non-residents, at the town meeting, unless they have a reason to be there, or they're not going to vote.
Well, yes, they do. Town
So-
resident, you don't have to be a resident to speak at the town meeting.
Sure.
Specifically because we have people, police chief,
Right,
DPW guy,
that- for the town
they have
that
to,
are
they don't,
non-residents.
so, I mean,
Correct.
there is a law that says they have the right to speak.
Right.
They can't vote. The difference between residents, non-residents, and voting will come up as we look at the definitions.
I still think all residents works because we're talking about the town of Paxton, and we're talking about it in relation to our charter.
Okay.
And I think it does not exclude the usage of all of those things by anyone.
Correct.
Okay. The question is then, there has been a suggestion that we should strike, we've struck 7. Are we going to strike 8 then?
No.
No.
No, we're keeping
No,
it.
we're
We're just
keeping it.
changing
Yes.
everyone to all residents.
Everyone changed to all residents.
Okay, that's fine. Therefore, we require local government to provide efficient and responsive delivery of town services, to promote and advance arts, education, and shared community experiences, and to ensure its residents have the opportunity to fully participate in the cultural, economic, and political life of the town. Is there anything to change in that other than the duplicitous 2?
Well, then we get back to the arts and education piece that we kind of struck.
Okay. Do we want to struck arts and education in here? We don't have education. Yeah, so you want to have to promote and advance what? Specifically, what words would you like to strike? Or do you want to strike?
I think in this situation, it's okay, because we're not, like Gary said, we're not affirming anything. But we do say that this charter, in its entirety, will promote some of these things in some way, shape, or form through the committees that are formed.
We are saying we require, which is a stronger word than affirm, though. Do we want to get rid of require?
I have a question. So why do we have dual? So a lot of this is redundant,
Right.
right? So is there a reason we separated it out Is there a statement that we can,
Well, and especially because we're going from bullets, and this was sort of the prose piece, and now we're going to have a paragraph form. So I almost see that, this whole paragraph was kind of repeating each of the bullets, and it's, there was a lot of,
So it's really, it's setting the stage. So we are agreeing to this, and therefore, this is our little two-sentence thing, and then we're going to get into the actual charter. The reason that I had a concern with 6 and 7, because I felt that by making the affirmation, we were having some measure of conflict within the two. By simply saying that we're going to require our local government to provide this level of efficiency or responsive delivery of services, I think it's just more of an, the residents are requiring that of the town in general. And I think Dave was just trying to identify the different areas that the town could offer to all of its residents. I don't see a conflict within that, because we've taken out the two things above that could have some conflict. That's just my opinion.
Is everybody's opinion then? So we have tabled the introduction, we have talked about the preamble, we have stricken 6 and 7. Are we leaving 8, but leaving it to say instead of everyone, all residents, or are we getting rid of 8?
Keep 8.
keep 8, all residents.
Everybody agree?
Yeah.
And then do we require any changes to the therefore, which is a historical legacy paragraph? Do you want to leave that? Do you want to change anything of it? Or do you want to get rid of it? Those are the three options we're talking about.
there was one line that I really liked that I've seen in a few places that's not in here.
Okay.
It's in Steve and Gary's version. I've seen it in other versions too. I love the line, "We expect and intend that our government will be welcoming and inclusive and will promote equality and respect for all people."
Yes, we expect and intend.
That our government will be welcoming and inclusive and will promote equality and respect for all people.
That sums it up nicely.
I love that. I love that.
Welcoming and inclusive.
Do you want to highlight it?
Try me to-
I don't know, do you need to?
And that's at the end. It's at the end of the charter that Steve and
Okay.
Gary did. It's in
Yeah.
a few charters, I think.
Yeah, it's in most.
Newton's proposed charter. It's in, or not proposed. This was in 16.
Okay. So where would we do that? Would we add that to the paragraph?
We would strike, I think, what you have and replace with that newer version.
We require being struck?
That whole, those three, I think that's what I'm hearing. We would strike what you have written, we require all the way through the town, and replace with what you just read.
So it would say, therefore, by this charter, we expect and intend that our government will be, is that agreed
I view it
upon?
as more of an add-on. I view, because I think that
okay.
stuff is important. Does it replace that? I'm not sure.
Well, what do we want to do? Do we want to replace it? Do
Could
we
you
want to keep
read,
it?
can you read the paragraph again, please, that you're looking to add, the phrase?
We expect and intend that our government will be welcoming and inclusive and will promote equality and respect for all people.
I think it would be an addition to, I don't think that could be an addition.
And where does the addition go?
So after the word town, at the very end of what we have now,
Yes.
if we said, in providing those services, comma, and then add that paragraph that you just mentioned, we expect.
Yes. I like that. And it's usually at the end. Where I've seen it used at the end of things.
Okay. So we would put that as the last paragraph of the preamble.
It's really neat.
It's just like,
Yeah, you know, I guess highlight it on there.
You didn't know it was going to be this much fun, Paul.
I did actually, and just looking at how this is going, I think it should inform our schedule, our working schedule going forward, because I think,
We're going to have to
schedule is
adjourn
optimistic.
shortly, but we, the
Just
question
given
is, we can go as long
this
as
is all
we
great,
want, right?
good dialogue and points that need to be considered, and this is the work that we need to do. But I think this, given the pace of it, just in these two parts that aren't even part of the charter, our work is.
I agree, but I do
take some
think
time.
this is some of the more painstaking stuff. I think once we get into more of a groove and we hit some of the lower articles, I don't think we're going to be debating at this level. You think
We'll
so?
see.
I don't know about that.
Maybe.
We'll
I'm
see.
not so sure about that. That is really optimistic, Chuck.
Yeah,
I think that you guys don't give yourselves enough credit. What we're trying to do is get our mind ready for the game. It's like being psyched in the locker room, okay? I'm talking baseball, not football. And, the coach would come out and he would try to get you go, we expect you guys to give it all and all that stuff. Well, that's what we're trying to do here. We're trying to get ourselves psyched up so we get in here and start talking about, do we want to have term limits in our charter, which is going to be something that I will debate
You have that-
on both sides. You
That's
can
in
take
the
that one.
drive. too.
So we have some consensus on the preamble?
I think so.
I think so.
All right.
Okay.
Do you?
Do you think we do?
Yeah, I think we do.
All right, so basically, I think we've got it. Do you have enough to put together the preamble from what we have talked about?
I think so.
Is there anybody at this point in time, and we're not taking a vote on it, we'll take a vote on it where we're going to approve it in the meeting minutes, next meeting. But is there anything else anybody wants to say, add? Now, keep in mind, you can go to sleep on it, and when we come back again, you can make changes before we approve it. But does anybody have anything? Okay.
I think there might be a way to combine the two sections into one. But I don't think that we do that. I might take a stab at that, just condensing, because there is a lot of overlap in there.
I would think that would be helpful.
Are you offering to do that, Chuck?
Yes, I'm offering to do that. I'll
So,
try to do that.
For the notes, we have Megan has volunteered to redo the introduction, and Chuck you're offering to redo the preamble.
Yes.
Or
Right, I think we have a good,
right,
we have
just
something.
these edits, just to
I might take a stab and try to see if
turn the
formatting
bullets into
it.
prose.
Your change is reformatting it
Right.
based upon the language that we've talked about.
I'm just
Talk-
going to suggest.
But I might try to combine some of it because the two sections to me are very parallel, and I don't know if we need both sections. Right? There's some language that's almost identical in both.
Yeah.
So we might be able to remove some of the obligations. We might be able to walk the line a little bit.
Are we taking up?
So we are,
All dogs have an MRI.
in the
scan.
first section,
I was told we didn't have-
we, as the town, are affirming these principles. And then we're saying, as a result of that, we are now going to do this.
But I
So-
think if
Makes
we're
sense.
affirming them, I think most preambles are just the one section.
But this actually makes sense to me.
Okay.
But I'm happy to see.
Right.
Again, I don't personally get caught up in formatting. I'm more about the language and what it really means. So if you feel it looks better or sounds better, I'll game.
I'd like to see what it looks like the way you like to format it, but I'll be honest with you. Formatting is not something that I like to do to anything until I format it so I can read it.
Yeah.
But when the
I'm
time-
not talking about formatting, I'm talking about condensing a little.
Right.
But
And I-
that to me is formatting
Do
it.
they want the room, Bob?
They would like it, but they understand that you
Okay,
haven't.
my understanding was that there wasn't any, but anyway. All right, we do have to then stop at this point in time. We have no room for public questions. Any last words, so to speak? Determine and announce our next meeting date.
So we have to end the meeting now?
Yeah. Because
We're on a roll.
we are on a roll.
That's our.
We got
Anybody
something-
like this?
We got something
kind of way
accomplished.
of doing it?
Yeah.
I think the discussion is good because it's we're all questioning for the right reasons.
Right.
How is, the language, and the perspectives are good.
And then we can all, when we're at events and people are asking, why is this the way it is? We all
answer.
are informed about exactly why it is.
We actually debated this.
Yeah, we did. I like it.
I'm very encouraged by what I see. I love that you aren't taking this lightly. You're approaching it from all different directions, trying to embody what our entire town really wants to see out of this charter. It's a very important document. It sets the tone and direction for our town. So I'm glad that you're not writing 3 articles a night. You're actually putting a lot of thought and effort into this, and it's greatly appreciated. So thank you.
Thank you, sir. It's a pleasure to hear an official, but more right to the point, a resident saying that, because,
So the next time that we meet,
which is what we have to.
we're going to go through your reformatting and the rewording.
And
that
send
we
those
talked
drafts to
about.
Dave to include on the,
Yeah. And
meeting.
we're also going to talk about the current draft of Article 1 and Article 2,
correct.
and that's going to be then added to the agenda in advance.
And what I will do is I will resend
We
out,
have 1, we don't have 2, right?
I will resend, I've done a little bit
We
of,
have 2, we have both of them.
yeah, we have 2. I have done a couple of, I will tell you something about Article 2, which is town meetings, legislative powers.
I think we need to wrap it up.
Yeah.
Okay,
Set a
Yeah.
meeting date.
okay, let's set a meeting date.
I have an appointment.
You have till 7. I was able to.
See, now I could go to midnight.
So when can we meet next? What is?
Yeah, let's,
When the
I just
rest,
can't do Tuesday.
I'm out all next week. I'm sorry.
okay, so Paul is not available. Let me just get to
Continue
that.
the work.
So that would be the week of what, Paul?
let's take,
I'm out the 13th, the 17th.
So we could keep it to the 20th, which I know is an off meeting, but then do the following. We'll just do back to back, the 20th and the 27th, and get back on the regular cycle.
I can't make the 20th.
Yeah, the 20th, okay, so 20, so are you, so we can't do the 20th for Chuck. I mean, this is too important for us to try to do it with 4 instead of 5. And particularly since there is nobody here that I don't want to listen, that I don't want to listen.
so the 27th, everyone's back?
Yeah.
Yep.
Is that a select board night? Is that back on the rotation, or do we cancel?
I can check real quick.
It should be then, if it's not tonight.
We've been doing the 1st and
Right.
3rd.
Right, it should be.
It should be.
It should be get us back, because
Well-
it should be the third, although.
They may not be meeting.
27th
Right, 'cause
is
they're
the
off the
fortnight.
Yeah.
Well, the good part is that we don't need to give a separate presentation to the select board as to our status, because the status is now it's going to be part of our minutes.
Yeah. I was kind of thinking about something like
Yeah,
that.
true.
And we also
See, that's
have,
what we're doing.
True.
I mean-
See our progression.
and I don't want to put anything in your basket of things to do, because I know you have a
10:27
million things to
is the
do,
next
but,
meeting.
you know, if you're in a position at
Yeah,
all
I'm
to,
good.
you know, we want to make sure, we haven't had we were supposed to have reports and everything like that. We did Steve did a fantastic thing with a PowerPoint and everything like that. I'm more of a, let's get it done and then go and have a big, long, meeting. But I think it's important for the select board to get some sense of what's going on. And the fact that Robert is here and is possibly in a position to say that, no, we're not really screwing around, we're really getting down to it.
Absolutely.
And if you, with all that being said,
Motion to
Motion to adjourn. Second.
Aye.
favor.
Aye.
Agreed, yes.
wow, I've never been quieted down so quickly.
I have an MRI, and if I miss it, I'm gonna
Yeah, no, those are hard to.
Oh, geez, yeah.
It's a new motto. You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. There are thousands of teens in foster care who don't need perfection. They need